Hey, what's up? Man, people are really mad at, Trump ain't buying his climate change thing. That's what I like about Trump is he a businessman. You know that even if he like believed it or not, he know it ain't no good deal. So he was saying that the deal is supposed to it was supposed to give like companies like no countries like they say like third world countries like a whole bunch of money like every year or something. But like you said, just like the whole Haiti thing with Hillary, the money goes. Let's say the money from charities, people people giving money to Red Cross, and then Red Cross is supposed to give money to Haiti, but it has to go through the government. It has to go through our government. So for Haiti to get the money, it has to go through someone. So every time Haiti would get money, Hillary would have like her Hillary charity fund thing, and it would go through her charity. So she would take some of the money, so and give it to herself and give it to a charity. And because a lot of people don't know, nonprofit is like the biggest scheme ever. Because a lot of people know that nonprofit charities, they can all they have to do I think is give like 1%. Was it 1% or 8%? But anyway, they don't even have to give that much money. So nonprofit basically means you don't make a profit. You're getting money, you're making money, but it can't make a profit. So you can't make more money than you have. So that's what profit basically means. So as long as you don't make a profit, you're making money. So how do you do that? Well, you have to spend the money. So you basically have to spend the money on something, either on yourself, your company, your employees, or your buddies. And that's usually what happens. You spend it on yourself and your buddies. Or you spend it on, let's say, investing to other companies. So as long as you're not making a profit, then it's all good. You won't get in trouble because you're giving money like 1% to charity, and then you're giving money to yourself. You're taking the money and you're giving it to your buddies, like your other buddies, your rich buddies. You might be taking some money and putting it offshore so it can't be touched. You might be putting in investments into your family and other parts of your family, so they can't touch it. Once you put in the assets, you can't touch it. So anyway, um, so the deal, this Paris deal, was to give third world countries who really suck, and give them money. But nobody ever knows what the money is going. That's the problem. So, and when people say climate change denial, doesn't it almost sound like um, Jesus resurrection denial? Like, you know how Christians, if you deny the birth of Jesus or the resurrection of Jesus, you're a blasphemous. It's the same like kind of talk. You deny the prophet Muhammad? Like, you deny the prophet Moses? It's the same thing. It's all religious talk. They know people are religious, so they know how to sell stuff. So as soon as you make everybody religious, and then you just keep rebranding stuff through fear. Climate change denial, global warming denial. It's the same thing as saying you deny the birth. You deny the resurrection of Jesus Christ or something. You deny the prophet Muhammad. You're going to hell now. So it's the same thing. So I don't buy half of this stuff anyway. Um, and like we all know that SJWs, the whole they're going downhill. Um, but they're trying to resurrect because they know their audiences hates them. And then the SJWs, when you start, taking the red pill, your SJW friends they'll start turning on you real fast. So and I already hate it anyway. And the whole Bill 9 thing, that thing, it crashed and burned. But just like religion, just like Jesus, he's gonna resurrect, and he's gonna try to rebrand himself. But see, the thing is, we think that the SCW community that's done, but in their circles, out and about, these people still exist. So you think that Trump is draining the swamp? He might be draining the swamp, but at least they still exist. They're still out there playing and making deals with people. So even though we don't want to do to make the deals, they're trying to make it with other countries. So they're still gonna try to bring the immigrants here. They didn't stop. They tricked everybody else, but they having a hard time tricking us. um, so, but it's really the real problem is everybody else. It's not really the elites. It's really just everybody else believing all this stuff because people like to feel like they're a good person without actually having to do anything. You know, because that's what I notice with all these movements is they all want to feel like they're morally superior to everybody without actually doing anything. So because the whole fighting racism thing, what it was all about, because on the surface it seems like okay, yeah, we're fighting racism, isn't that good? But when you don't find it, that's the problem. When you don't find the racism, what are you gonna get? And it's like what's going on is that, but at the same time, you got these young kids living in a box, thinking that they're more superior than everybody else. And it's kind of funny thing of how they think they're better than everybody, but they're anti-religion. They're all about morals. They're all about being a good person, but they're anti-religion. Like I don't get it. Where do you think morals came from? Like anyway, it's all just kind of like not sure. Just all this confusion. Everything doesn't make any sense. But the funny thing is, it's all happening on campus and online. It's not really happening in real life too much. You know, all this stuff is happening on campus and online. So once you go out, you realize that this stuff ain't really happening. It might be happening at your job, but certain places it ain't happening. You ain't gonna be getting into no philosophical like arguments at no Walmart. No, it's only gonna be happening online or on campus. Depends on where you're at, maybe California or something. But most of the time, Mexicans don't even care about politics. So it's kind of weird when you see them talking about politics because most of the time they don't even care. They're trying to stay in the country. They're trying to trying to keep their job. They ain't trying to go back to it. Mexico, man, that place is jacked up. And their place is so messed up, you can't even fix it. Even if they would go back and fix it, it's gonna be really hard. The place is pretty messed up. So there's a lot of problems in the world, and there's a whole lot of talking, and a whole lot of not doing nothing. And and people like to talk, man. They like to feel like they're a good person. They feel like they're making a change. Like, wait, you don't want to give India money? It's like, you don't think they should be worrying about climate change? I'm like, when a flood comes, like when a person most people who live in India are really poor. They live in like shanty towns, like houses that are made out of cardboard and houses that are made out of cardboard and hay and whatnot. If a flood is coming, you ain't living. There's just no way. You're not gonna live that long. But instead of saying, when you say, well, that's the point. They should care about climate change because they're affected the most. Like, no, the question is, the answer is, why do you still? Now the question is, why do you still live in a hut? You should be living in a house. You should be living in an area that's not near the water. You should have some type of, how we have, dams and we have, let's say, flood walls, but they don't have that in India because the government just sucks. They really suck at infrastructure and plumbing and all that stuff. And so these people be living in these shanty towns. They don't live in compatible houses. They live in like huts and whatnot. They shouldn't be living in no huts. They should have houses now. They should have brick homes. They should have like flood walls around their community. They should have roads. They should have electricity. You're bringing renewable energy to a country that doesn't even have electricity yet. It's like you're bringing them windmills and solar panels, and they don't even have electricity yet. How you gonna make all this stuff if you ain't got no electricity? so, so so when it comes to carbon taxes, who do you think that's gonna affect the most? That's gonna affect India, because India has a whole lot of poor people in there, and they're trying to get out of the third world to the second world. Only way you can do it is you're gonna have to do it with coal, because coal is the cheapest one. So if you're a poor country, then you only can buy the cheapest um, energy resource, and the cheapest one is coal. And right now, wind power and solar power are the most expensive ones because they're all controlled by the government and Al Gore and his buddies. So if you're talking about Nigeria, which is you got the smartest people, but they're still the most poorest country. You're talking about Somalia, Syria, and all these places, India, North Korea, all these places that are these are the poorest countries. And you're gonna bring carbon tax up in there? It's not gonna work out. As soon as they build a plant and it starts emitting too much carbon dioxide, they're gonna have to get shut down because the fees are gonna be too much. So if you have let's say you have a town and you decide, okay, I'm getting tired of this. I don't care about American culture. I just want electricity up in my town. The only way I can do it is I need coal and or uh, natural gas or something like that, or some type of plant. Because the Indians are really smart. It's not like they can't figure it out. I forgot which country it was, but there was a guy that his village didn't have electricity, so he built like this tower, this electric tower, and he powered electricity. He's built this electric tower himself, and now all people in his village got electricity. I was like, oh snap! And can you imagine if the carbon tax was going on during that time? He couldn't do that right there, because it's emitting carbon dioxide. I don't know how it fully works, but so you got all these poor countries. You're talking about 3 billion people living over $2, less than $2 a day, and when carbon taxes come in, it's over. It's going really in India, because India is one of the poorest ones, and they're pro like corporations. They're pro Sony, pro Microsoft. When Microsoft comes, you see lines around the corner trying to get a job. So people act like they want to speak for people. You don't speak for none of these people. They want to get out of their poverty. They're getting tired of this because they have access to what we have. They have access to knowing what America has and what Europe has, and they want it. And they're trying to get out of this poverty. They're trying to get to the second world. And carbon tax is going to ruin them. And it ain't going to work out, because the first thing that the first energy resource that they're going to probably obtain is probably the cheapest one, and which is coal. And coal emits the most carbon dioxide and the most pollution. But that's the cheapest one you can get. Solar power and wind power is too expensive. Nobody can afford it. Matter of fact, they brought all this to Mexico, but nobody can afford it. Electricity is the cheapest one because it's coal. So if coal is the cheapest one, if electricity is the cheapest one, and they can't afford that one, then how are they going to afford solar power and wind power? They can't. So it only works out for the rich people. They make a lot of money off of dumb rich people. Thinking solar power is the best one. I mean, it might actually be good, but it's anything that's controlled by the government ends up bad anyway. So it might actually be a good thing, but every time the government controls stuff, they always mess it up. So I think people need to get out of people's way. Because first of all, these shanty towns don't have no electric plugs. How they gonna use electricity or wind power anyway? They only have electric outlets. You live in a hut made out of mud and hay. I don't know where do you have electric outlet. These people don't even have running water. You think these people got toilets? They ain't got no toilets. They be going to the bathroom with a hole in the ground. These people ain't got no toilets, ain't got no washing machines, ain't got no televisions. Or they try to. They hook it up around the corner or something. you know, it's like people don't be thinking like, yeah, man, all we gotta do is give the Mexicans electricity or solar power. Electricity, they live in a hut. These people live in a hut, man. There's no electric outlets. It's like they don't have no toilets, man. It's like man, just give them the same stuff we got. Yeah, their structure, their everything is just different. They don't even have like asphalt on their roads. You know, some of them are not even allowed to go to the beach because the beach is it has a like when you go to Cancun or places like that, or you go to the beach in Mexico, all the beaches are usually private. They're usually attached to like the hotels. Like so, it'd be like poor people down the street can't even go to the hotel because it's a private hotel in their own country. They can't go to their own beach in their own country because the beach will be connected to a hotel. So it would be like a bunch of white people at the beach chilling out, but the Mexicans can't even go to the beach because it's attached to the hotel. So even in their own country, they only have access to their own stuff. So I don't know. I think the problem is we get used to thinking um that everybody's life is the same. That's the problem. You think that every culture is equally the same. That every country is equally the same. That well, they might be poor, but they're not that poor. Like no, they're really poor. It's like well, all we gotta do is get the kids to Africa. Um, all they have. If you're sick in Africa, just go to the hospital. Like some of these people in African village, they have to walk like 100 miles to get to a hospital. That's why they end up dying. So if you gotta walk 100 miles to go to a hospital, usually what happens is you try to handle it yourself. But anyway, this video is getting kind of long. But just know that like not every culture is the same. Not every country is the same. Matter of fact, not all poverty is equally the same. Um, a guy made a statement one time. This guy was talking about India, and like it was Dinesh. He was at this conference or whatever. I mean, not conference, but like his speech thing, and he was saying how his Indian friend was saying how he said, "Why do you want to come to America for?" And he said, "The reason why I want to come to America because the fat people in America," he said, the poor people in America are fat, or something like that. He said, y'all got fat poor people in your country, or something like that. It was about what it was. But he was saying that even though we have poor people, they're still fat. Like, but when you got poor people in India, they ain't fat. And a lot of people will say, if you wanna find out who the rich people are, look for the fat people. That's how you know who's rich. Because only the poor people were skinny. That's why I said, yeah. You choose not to eat. You choose not to want to eat meat or vegetables or milk or something or butter. No, you're choosing to do that. In Africa, you can't choose not to eat meat or choose not to eat vegetables or choose not to eat raw or something like that. Yeah, you choose to be a vegan or vegetarian. You ain't choosing to be no vegetarian, no Indian, no Africa. But anyway, what do you think? You think climate change is a hoax? Climate change is a hoax? Do you think that we should join up with Al Gore and get rich? No, it's fun. But but yeah, when you start making good decisions or decisions that destroy people's ability to feel good about themselves, then you're gonna get some haters. You're gonna get people that really hate you. Is that because you're really wrecking their world? People want to feel like they're good people, and if you wreck that world for them, then that really turns their world upside down. So all the SJWs that felt like they were good people, and then now that it's coming to fruition and finding out, no, these people actually were the bad people. Like, these were actually the Hitler type people. So all the people that thought they were fighting racism found out they were the racists. All the people that were fighting sexism found out they were the sexists. All the people that thought they were fighting misogyny found out they were misogynists. So everything always comes back. Karma. Everything always comes back to fruition. You find out the people who are making the most noise are probably the bad ones. They're probably the ones you need to not listen to. But anyway, remember to like and subscribe to Two Genders. And peace out.